Hey, River's Edge. A few weeks ago, we started something called Ask River's Edge, which was your opportunity to ask us questions, whether it's on the Bible or our series or just anything else. And so we have those answers, and we want to go ahead and go through those with you. So here we go with number one. The question was, what should we do as a parent about Santa Claus? And so if you have kids around, you know this might be a great time to usher them, or you can just skip about 2 minutes and probably get past this question. But tough question. The reason it's tough is really the Bible isn't extremely, I wouldn't say it's super clear on it. It doesn't say anything about Santa, obviously. It doesn't talk about anything like that. It does talk about lying and deceiving others. It talks about being good parents and those kinds of things. But I don't want to necessarily just give a yes or no to this question, because I think that would be, I think that this is something that as a family you have to figure out together. So I just want to look at a couple aspects of it. Obviously there's the kind of lying and deceitful side of it, depending on maybe how long or what exactly you do. But there's the other side that, it is fun, and it is a tradition. And, there are some of those aspects too. And so how I answer this question is simply this. It's up to you as a family. But what I do think the Bible is extremely clear on is that Christmas is about Jesus. And so if we're doing anything that takes away from Jesus, then I don't think we've done our job. I have a friend who told me this story about, we were talking about this issue, and he was in church, and someone came up and asked him about this, and he was like, yeah, well, I tell my kids about Santa, and then this person yelled at him, and he was like, whoa, hold on, it's a tradition. And as he's talking to this guy, he asks all of his kids who just happened to be walking by, what's Christmas about? And they all came back and said, it's Jesus. It's Jesus' birthday. And I think as long as Jesus is still the primary thing, then we're doing our jobs. And I think that's what it's all about. So if gifts or tradition or family or anything else comes above Jesus, I think that's the problem. So remember, Christmas, 11 months from now, it's all about Jesus. And that's our job as parents, is to talk about Jesus. Question number two, also a really tough one, comes from Daniel chapter 10. And the person asks, if this person in Daniel 10 is Jesus, then how could he be held back? So let me just give you a brief synopsis of what's going on in Daniel chapter 10. Daniel is fasting and praying and looking for an answer from God, looking for direction, looking for help. And he's been fasting and praying for several weeks, and all of a sudden he has this vision. And in the vision, it's seemingly this Christ-like figure who comes and talks to him. And, the white, bright light, the whole radiant thing is going on. And then after that, it sounds like this person says that he was held up by the prince of Persia, or the demonic presence, or this spiritual principality that held up this person from giving the answer to Daniel. And so when we look at it a little closer, and it definitely took me some study time, but as we look a little closer, in the first part of the chapter, it talks about this Christ-like figure, which I think is undoubtedly Jesus, the Son of God. In chapter 9, it says that Daniel fell asleep. In chapter 10, it says a man touched his shoulder and woke him up. And so I think it's very conceivable. In fact, I think it's very highly likely that the first part was a vision of Jesus, but the second part is an angel who comes and talks to him, and that we could presume that it's Gabriel. And Gabriel comes to talk to him and says that I was sent right away to answer your prayer, but Prince of Persia held me back, but then Michael, the other angel, archangel, had to come and help me. And so hopefully that clears up. Daniel chapter 10. Dive into that. Great stuff. Look for it. Look at it yourself and read it for yourself and see if this kind of lines up for you. But it sounds like first part is Jesus, second part angel. Great question. The third question, which is maybe the most difficult of all of these, but the question is found in Genesis 6, right before the Noah story, and it talks about sons of God and the Nephilim. And those are really probably the two terms that are the most confusing in this short passage. And so the question is, who are the sons of God? What are the sons of God? And who and what are the Nephilim? So doing some research on this, and we have had some great discussions in the last couple of weeks just as a staff talking about this particular thing. But to dive to it, if you want more research on this, or if you want to look into it a little bit more, you're more than welcome to. My favorite site that I saw, at least so far, is www.answersingenesis. And you can just type in like Nephilim or Sons of God, and it'll pop up. Kind of gives this whole lengthy explanation. I'm going to jump through some of that explanation and just give you my theory. But before I give you my theory, I just want to let you know it's not clear, and the Bible does not make it clear what the answer is. And that's why it's a tough question. It involves some reading between the lines. It involves some other research, and we still aren't sure if that is even right. When this was originally written, I think sons of God and Nephilim both would have been terms that everyone already knew what they meant, and so the author did not explain them very well. Happens often in the Bible where things are not meant to, they weren't written for us, they were written for someone else. And if that someone else already knew what it meant, then there's no need to describe it. But my theory is that sons of God refers to those who are still pure and holy, most likely from the line of Seth. And Seth was one of the sons of Adam and Eve. And so through his lineage there remains this purity and this holiness. Enoch comes through it. There are others eventually ending with Noah. And so that's what sons of God sounds like to me. It sounds, it's this pure and holy people that have remained. What the Nephilim means is, it means fallen ones. And so some would say that this means like fallen angels. It means that it's like fallen angels who got to know some human women and this whole kind of thing that happens. And I think that's far-fetched. And I think that is something that is found outside of the Bible. There is some other literature that kind of talks more along that line. I would say that other literature is not in the Bible for a reason. But to me, what Nephilim sounds like is there's two theories on it. I'm okay with both of them. One theory is just that it's the sons of God, those who come from Seth, and they intermarry with those who are not from Seth or who are not pure and holy. Their children then are called the Nephilim. Or it's just simply those who have fallen away from the ways of God and are now considered Nephilim. And so it does mean fallen ones. It means those who have strayed away. It means those who are no longer serving God in a pure and blameless, holy way. And so that's a tough one. Lots of research. Again, feel free to check that out for yourself. Read the story in Genesis 6. See what you think. And then kind of confer with what I've said, or maybe with some other things that you can find. And so, but that is our first ever Ask River's Edge. I hope you enjoyed it. Please send us more questions. You can go to our website at riversedge.church. And you can email us questions there. We'd be happy to look at them, and hopefully we can do these more often because it's a lot of fun for us. Hope you all have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you later.